Hello, and welcome to my anime review show. I am your host, Tsuneko, and I will be guiding you through some really bad anime. Today's show is supposed to be a parody of anime cliches and stereotypes. However, these two flimsy legs the show runs on gets tired very fast and doesn't carry it very far. I introduce to you, Trouble Chocolate.
冷え血をしよう君としようチョコレートみたいに熱く燃えるほどとろけるような恋
Trouble Chocolate is an anime of the romance comedy kind, or so I am told. The main character is a boy named Kakao who lives above a candy store his family owns in a place called Cranky Sakai Town. All the students in the town go to Microgrand Academy, where it is not too dull and not too special. Kakao wakes one morning to find a beautiful girl in his bed named Hinano. Hinano, we find out, is actually a wood spirit that Kakao and his teacher, Professor Ganache, accidentally trapped in the body of a wooden puppet. This all happens after Kakao eats some 200-year-old chocolate and has an allergic reaction which causes him to sneeze and ruin the magic circle Professor Ganache is casting in. Subsequently, the botch spell not only brings a puppet to life, but also unleashes something somewhere. This something are monsters that inhabit the cards that are placed in a certain kind of chocolate bar Kakao store sells. These monsters, or miscards, manifest in different ways, and it's up to Kakao and a whole cast of characters to stop them. Aside from having to worry about the miscards, there is an organization called Big Deal Corporation that seeks to eradicate all the magical users in the world, including Kakao. Though reluctant to be a part of magic and monster fighting, Kakao must tap into his own magical powers in order to keep his friends and Hinano safe from harm. This is one of those shows that fails on so many levels and yet tries to cover up its many flaws with a thick layer of awkwardness and self-aware humor. As stated before, most of the characters and situations in this show are stereotypes or parodies of stereotypes. However, Trouble Chocolate handles this kind of humor the same way Leatherface handles his house guests. For instance, there is Deborah and Captain Murikata. These two are the overly dramatic lovers who can't go more than 15 seconds in any given scene they're in without professing their love to one another, usually accompanied by dramatic backdrops and costume changes. This couple could have been a lot more bearable to watch had it not been for the dub, but I'll get to that later. For now, these two are just annoying and their whole act gets old after the first episode. We also have a love rival named Truffles who is merely there to fill a role and nothing more. There's absolutely nothing done to make this character memorable or remarkable. In fact, the only thing that was memorable about him was how long it took me to remember anything about him. He's the rich guy who's above all the rest of the antics that go on around him, but gets roped into it because of his love for Hinano. If you think this is the emergence of a love triangle, you'd be wrong. Again, I'll get to that later.
What do you know? Another wasted episode. Why do I bother?
My thoughts exactly. There are different characters on this show, and when I say different, I mean extremely generous with that. All of them pretty much just have one trait as their character trait, and that's about it. There's absolutely nothing done to make them interesting, entertaining, or even enjoyable to watch. They're simply there to just move the plot along. Well, drag the drunken, beaten carcass that masquerades as the plot to its next point of public shame. However, there are the three professors, Professor Big Bang, Professor Papaya, and Professor Ganache, that are actually a joy to watch. If the show had been about them, this whole review probably wouldn't have happened, because they are the only shining point in this entire show, character-wise. The prize for the most awkwardly named character goes to Kakao! Just Kakao. Ugh. He's our main character, and for the most part, he's a typical guy with an insatiable appetite. All he really wants to do is live a normal life, eat his normal meals, and die a normal death. And we all know how that turns out in shows like this. He gets dragged into the things around him, and this couldn't have made for a lot of odd and funny moments, but the opportunities are just so poorly misused. The creators of the show don't even seem to know where Kakao stands with Hinano. One moment she's annoying him.
Would you shut up? All the time with you it's whine, nag, whine.
And the next he's mildly concerned to worried sick about her. This puts the whole Truffles rivalry on ice and renders it kind of pointless. I mean, you can't really rival something that isn't there half the time. Kakao is so hot and cold with Hinano, but fails so horribly in his transition between the two. There's no real development in their relationship whatsoever, and their interaction with each other isn't really all that funny or entertaining. I mean, this is supposed to be a love comedy, right? In fact, it's not even till the last few minutes of the last episode that Kakao admits to loving Hinano, and it's so painfully shoehorned in, I literally had to lie down afterwards.
I love you. I always did.
Jerk with a Heart of Gold comes to mind, but for the most part, it just fails and leaves us with a character so bland that the only time he's really ever interesting to watch is when he's drunk off of chocolate. Oh, and he learns about magic and could possibly be the next greatest sorcerer of his time. Yay! Hinano is a different story. To Hinano's voice, personality, and overall presence on the show, I have only this to say.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
You're welcome.
Oh. What more can be said about her? She's annoying to the point of absurdity, and every time she's on screen, I feel the need to scrub my ears out with lie. She fills that role of the obnoxiously cute, perkin, all-around sweet and magical girl. She's the epitome of everything that is wrong with this kind of character, and she makes me want to do nothing more than to shove a dozen roses up her puppet hole.
I can't believe you'd be so heartless. What if your legs were cut off?
Take it, you Barbie Muppet reject! Story-wise, this show is, for the most part, episodic and kind of a mess. With a show based off of cliches and stereotypes, I really didn't expect anything new. However, I didn't expect them to make the mundane even more mundane. I can't even call this show mediocre because that would be giving it too much credit. There are two plots the show tries to follow, a main one, if it can be called that, and a second one of graver nature. The main plot consists of Monster of the Week fare with creatures known as miscards that manifest and run amok until the cast stops them. Antics ensue, monsters are sealed away. Rinse and repeat. Trouble Chocolate has done the unthinkable and made this boring. Again, there is a second underlining plot which features Truffles working for his grandfather Mozzarella. How many people are named after food in this series? Anyways, Truffles is working for his grandfather by infiltrating Microgrand Academy to gather intelligence about the magic users in that school and how to get rid of them.
Everybody got that?
The whole Mozzarella plot only shows up about 5 times and is actually the final conclusion to the story. Yeah, I guess they got tired of that whole miscard crap. In fact, the whole miscard thing isn't even resolved or even fully explained. But I learned to stop caring after a few hours. I mean, the show certainly seems to do so.
A miscard fell in love with a tree sprite? Oh, we're running out of plot lines. Never mind, okay?
Also, I call bull on how the story ended. Hinano dies and then just comes back to life? No! No! She died, then that's how she shall stay. Dead! The animation for Trouble Chocolate is pretty much what I would expect from a show like this. Glaring color palettes, off-model instances, generic character designs, and cheap effects. This really surprises me though, since Studio AIC's list of productions and associations include Full Metal Alchemist, Angel Beats, and Oh My Goddess. I guess every studio has that redheaded stepchild they like to keep locked in the attic. Also, the music is pretty generic, but has a nice piano theme that shows up at sad moments. Actually, this would have worked had they not also tried it with overly dramatic and silly moments as well.
Kill me off in the first episode.
The opening theme, CHOCO, is a catchy little song that is still stuck in my head, and no amount of lobotomy will ever get it out. The dub for Trouble Chocolate just tries way too hard to be funny. Almost all the jokes and gags are pulp culture references, and the use of them is painfully exploited. The show also loves to tell its audience that they are in fact watching a show, a love comedy, and you are stupid for not knowing that. It's like a lame joke that someone tells you and then feels the need to explain it as if you didn't get it. Oh, we get it. It just wasn't funny. Trouble Chocolate is built on this premise. Now, to bring up the Lovebirds again, practically all of their dialogue together is some kind of sexual innuendo or just blatantly sexual. Now I'm all for dirty humor, but with them it just gets...
To go, hotcakes? Don't you want to taste my strawberry?
I've made your body withstand harder, Deborah. What you're experiencing is the nausea caused by true love.
Oh, I love you!
uncomfortable. The original Japanese script is more subtle with its humor, however it is kind of plain and cheesy as a trade-off. The voice acting is nothing special in both audio tracks for the show, and each actor tries to do their best with what they're given. I'm not going to go into how much I hate Hino's voice, nor am I going to disclose my detailed plan to find the voice actress, pour fire ants in her throat, and only allow her to gargle with bleach to wash them down. All in all, Trouble Chocolate is not very interesting. It comes off as very loud and obnoxious. The dub has taken all of the tropes and stereotypes from the original script and magnified them to near unwatchable proportions. The story is just that, a story. A generic copy-paste story that relies way too much on self-aware humor to the point of slapping its viewers in the face with it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this show kind of managed a giggle or two from me, but the moments were so far in between that I felt like I was watching an entirely different show when they happened. If you want to see a good parody anime, one that wasn't intended to be that way, but the English dub said, to hell with it, we're gonna make this funny, watch Ghost Stories. You will not be regretting it, unlike watching Troubled Chocolate. My next review is going to be about an anime about 3 sisters who are on an adventure through time and space. Bring it on. I am Tsuneko, signing off.
I know a song that gets on everybody's nerves, yes, on everybody's nerves. I know a song that gets on everybody's nerves, and this is how it goes.